Hello everybody, welcome to Auto Corner, and today is a special episode as always. We are reviewing actually a Japanese car, the car right behind us, which is the Lexus IS. But the Lexus IS was actually launched back in the beginning of the 2000s, but was not that big of a success. After that they launched this one back in 2006 and has the code name XE20 and was in production from 2006 all the way up to 2013. And it actually was a much bigger success. The year this car was launched back in 2006 was actually within the top 10 selling cars in America at the time. So Lexus did something really good here. 2008 they did a facelift on it, which has some improvement on the chassis and steering, and basically small minor details on the exterior. I will actually show you a facelifted car that you can see, and also this car, so you can see the difference. Then also back in 2010 they did another ish facelift where they replaced, for example, the LED light. They had LED lights in the front, for example. But the car is actually right there. That one we have reviewing is an IS250. It's a 2006 or 7, I think. I don't actually remember exactly year model. We're gonna go through a little bit about the IS and this car in particular. Now there are a couple of engines to choose from, not that many. You had the IS220, which is a 170 horsepower diesel, which is absolutely a horrid car. I would not recommend anybody buying that. The only reason Lexus actually went out with this car, they wanted to compete in the what you call company car segment, and the diesels back in the days were environmentally friendly. Imagine that, how time has gone by. That's why they launched it. It was also only available with automatic. The IS250 is the V6 with roughly 200 horsepower, which is actually the most selling car, and not that good a success at the company segment due to the tax was quite high, and then it uses a little bit more fuel than it should do for that segment. But it's an unbelievable engine, V6, super smooth, and was also available with 6-speed manual and a 6-speed automatic. But the other one was actually the IS350, which actually is my favorite one. It has 306 horsepower and 370 Newton meters of torque, but was sadly not available in Europe. It seems to only be available in America. And then of course you had the ISF, which has a 5-liter V8 with 500 Newton meters and a little bit over 400 horsepower. And that thing has a 8-speed automatic transmission. Now there are different trim levels to this car. You have Sport, Comfort, you have the F Sport, and you have the Executive. The Executive is the car right behind us, and it's the most luxurious car in the range. And I think Lexus made it quite simple that it's very easy to choose option, not like the German, which has a million options. Lexus doesn't have that. Sport Comfort, basically the same thing. A little bit stiffer suspension on the Sport. The Executive, well, you get all the toys you ever want with the Executive package. The F Sport was launched back in 2010. It's even a firmer version of a Sport. Has some different packages, different bumpers, different rear bumpers, different seats, small things like that. It's like the M Sport or AMG line for Lexus basically, but it makes the car actually a bit stiffer. The Executive, I think, is the one that you should look for. We will go into a little bit more detail about the options you can get on this car when we do the test drive, but it's very impressive the amount of toys you get on it. When you look at the design of the Lexus IS250, and I think also a lot of why, or the Lexus IS this generation, is why it was such a good success, was actually the design. It looks very good, very compact, good front angle, like the rear, good side angle, side profile. It's a very good looking car in my personal opinion. And what is also good is it's extremely reliable. I've done a lot of research on them, and it's overall an extremely reliable car. But I think we will do now is we actually will go on a test drive, and we will get a little bit more in detail about the Lexus IS. So here's the key to the car, quite simple. Keyless go was an optional extra, but most of the car has it. Typical Lexus fashion, works perfectly, of course. Push button start as well. Steering wheel greets you really coolly. Let's see, break off. There we go. So first thing is set up in the IS2 or the Lexus IS is that you feel the quality in here. It's just magnificent. Yes, it is a Toyota, and you feel on some of the bottoms, for example here, you feel that it is a Toyota product, but other than that you really can't feel it. The attention to detail is really good, quality is really good. Most of the car doesn't have rattles or something like that in the exterior. This thing has done over 240,000 kilometers and still no rattles whatsoever. The IS250, which is the most common engine, is actually an okay engine. It pulls decently, super duper reliable. Once again, I would skip the manual gearboxes altogether if I'm completely and frankly honest with you. Those are quite, I mean, it doesn't fit the character of the car. I would go with the automatic transmission, and like I said previously, skip the 220s, which are really bad. Low washer fluid. Oh, okay, that's not that bad. The chassis feels really good. The car feels really compliant to the road. You have different modes here. You have normal, power mode, and you have the snow mode. You also have the ESP button, which cannot be fully turned on when you press this. You have to do a special pedal dance to get the ESP to turn off, but you can do it if you want to have some fun in the snow. This is also an optional extra, comes with executive package, and we will a little bit talk about the options in the car. So when you get the sport or comfort, most of them have a normal CD thing over here without the touchscreen. Try to find one with the touchscreen, whatever you do. Another cool thing that you get when you buy the executive, which I think everybody should look for, is the electric seats, foldable mirrors, cooled and heated seats. This beautiful touch panel. You get a rear curtain in the back, which you can see right there, which as typical Lexus works just perfectly. So really try to get it in the executive package. The sport and comfort, they also, most of them have electric seats, for example, but not a lot of them have the leather. That was an optional extra. Another cool thing, some options you can get this car in all-wheel drive, and you can also get the sunroof, which this car doesn't have. Speaking of the headliner, this has this beautiful silky smooth Alcantara material, which feels so nice in this car. Gearbox, it's okay, it's not the best, but it does the job really good. It's super smooth, very nice. You have these beautiful pedal shifters, which I think are of some kind of plastic, but they feel good in your hands, quite big, fun to use if you want to be in full control. Chassis, very stiff, a little bit more on the sportier side, I would actually say, but it still has such a comfortable car on the highway and on a smooth country road. For example, this is in my opinion quite a smooth country road. Where the ride and the chassis really needs to get, they did not do it really correctly, is at the lower speed the car is really stiff and can move you a little bit side to side, which can give you a feeling of being motion sickness if you're very sensitive to that. That's something the German cars does a little bit better than the Lexus. Other than that, this car, this is what the C-Class Mercedes should be. It should be a small luxury car, and I think there is no car in this class when can beat it to that. I mean, the options you can get was only available on really high-end cars back in days. You cannot get a 3 Series with cooled seats and a touchscreen, for example, which is unbelievable. And speaking of a touchscreen, I've heard a lot of people say they don't like it. I really cannot understand why. It's super easy, super simple to use. It's really responsive, and it's zero lags. Whatever you do is fast to respond. It also has AUX, so you can listen to your music. Bluetooth for your phone. I mean, come on. How good isn't that? So now let's talk a bit about reliability. They are definitely much more reliable than the Germans. There are, though, some problem, of course. No car is perfect. But as good as perfect this car is. Generator is known to fail on them for some reason. Rear brakes, you have to check that they don't get hot when you're driving. This happened to this car before I replaced the pads and the discs. They did actually recall in America, see if they have done that, but as far as I know, they did not do it in Europe, as to my little bit knowledge about that. But check that it doesn't get hard or stuck in the pads in the back. You have some owners have reported the squeaking sounds from the interior, but actually I've driven probably 8 different versions of this, and all of them has been the 250, and none of them had a squeaky interior, which is I don't think is a known problem. But check that has been fixed as well, or that it works perfectly when you drive it. Another thing I've heard from Lexus salesmen, they say these cars are actually quite sensitive to bumps. If you drive them a lot in bumps, you can get the wheel alignment to be a bit off. So check that the wheel alignment is good. They are a little bit more sensitive to that. Other than that, if you want a reliable car which still has a premium feel, there is not, and especially in this class, there is no car that's better. I mean, this car is now almost 15 years old. Everything on this goddamn car works. The reversing camera works without any problem whatsoever, as you can see. Parking sensor works great. The illumination at the door works. And nothing of it has been replaced under the owner history of this car. I cannot find that anything like that has ever been replaced. That really shows the craftsmanship that goes into one of these cars. Same to the engine. There is no oil leaks whatsoever on a car with this mileage. It's really impressive, and that's why in the second-hand market these cars are a bargain. You can find them all the way from basically 3,000 euros all the way up to roughly 115,000 euros thereabouts for a real low mileage one. Go ahead and go and buy one if you need one of these type of cars. They are super duper reliable. And as always, when you're buying a second-hand car, check that the owner has maintained it. Most of Lexus owners does that. It's a very typical person who buys a Lexus, so most of them have been maintained really good. Now we'll actually talk about cabin space, which is actually one of the drawbacks. This car is not as roomy as the C-Class or BMW 3 Series or an Audi A4. They are a bit more cramped in here. You really feel that. Rear legroom is actually okay, not the best, but it's okay. You will hit your head if you're a bit taller. Same thing to the trunk space. Trunk space is also okay, so we have that also in the video. Another also cool feature that this car has when you get the executive package is the Mark Levingson's audio system, which doesn't have a lot of power. I think it's 320 volts. But it's such a nice sounding audio system. It really is really good. Try to find one with this. The standard one is actually okay. It's 13 speaker standard. Try to get this because it does make a big difference. You get a big ass subwoofer in the rear as well. Some people have complained that it has a carbon buildup in the IS250s. I live in Europe. I've not seen any cars that has that problem. I've opened up the start box in this and pulled in a camera. It doesn't look that bad, but this car has decent service history and is running on 95 octane fuel here in Sweden, which is I think 92 or 93 octane in real life or something like that. And so yeah, but it doesn't seem to be a big problem. I don't know how, if in America for example, I don't know how the fuel quality is over there, if it's worse or something like that. But that actually concludes the review of the IS XE20 year model. Go out and buy yourself one, and there is also a video in the description if you would like to see that. Peace.